welcome everybody to another Facebook Live. And today we're really excited because it's a collaboration between Yasutomo, of course, and a company that we really love, Peerless Watercolors. You might know them as Nicholson's Peerless Watercolors. But we have a huge amount of really amazing stuff to show you guys today. And I'm just going to get some quick housekeeping stuff out of the way. And we're actually joined today by Dalton Skolman of Peerless Watercolors. So we're going to have Dalton share a little bit about the company with you as well. I'm also going to post in the comments a discount code that you can use if you'd like to buy any Peerless Watercolors products on your own. It's good for 15% off with code Karen Elaine Creative, which I'll put in the comments. And one last thing that I'm going to drop in the comments for you to check out is a link for the Peerless Watercolors circle community, which maybe Dalton can speak a little bit more on. So thank you all. That's my bit. I'm going to turn it on over to Dalton now.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually for the first time. My name is Dalton, and my wife, Cass, and I own Peerless Watercolors. We're actually the fifth owners of the company. The company was founded in 1885 by a chemist named Chas Nicholson, who was originally looking for a way to help photographers colorize and tint black and white photographs. And then watercolor artists got their hands on the paint, and it's been literal history since there. Like I said, we're the fifth owners. We still make all of our paints by hand using the same techniques and recipes that Chas invented over 130 years ago. And we're just having a fun time getting to know the community and meet all the wonderful artists that make it up. But as far as Phoebe said, our private circle community, it's a group that's offline of like-minded awesome painters all using Peerless Watercolors, and we have exclusive video tutorials in the group, along with exclusive audios like binaural beats and stuff like that. And it's just fun to meet everyone in there and message with people and connect with other artists. And so the link you get that Phoebe's going to put up, you'll receive a free month, no credit card necessary to sign up. So you come around and see what it has to offer, test drive it, and stick around if you like it.
Awesome. Thank you, Dalton. So as you can see on the screen, we have a ton of really awesome and exciting, beautiful things to show you today. So Dalton and I will be hanging out in the comments. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to drop it in the comments, and Dalton and I will be there to answer whatever we can. If you have a question for Karen, just drop it in there, and I will ask Karen the question if it's something that she should answer or demonstrate. And I think that's it from us. So Karen, please take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. This is so much fun. I go way back with these watercolors, and it's just such a pleasure to be able to collaborate today, because Yasutomo and Peerless, they have such a long history in the art supply industry, and what a great marriage of products or collaboration of products. It's so much fun and so much joy. So I'm just going to kind of start with what I used to use them for back in when I first bought my first pack. Oh boy, when was it? Like 27 years ago or whatever it was, a long time ago. The packaging hasn't changed, which is kind of cool, because you'll always know that this, unless they plan to change it. I think this is great because this is a tried and true. It's been around for a long time. I use this in rubber stamping. I used to take my little stamped images. In fact, I even have some. I found these little cute little stamps, and I colored them with the Peerless watercolors using just simple. It just makes colorizing very simple. There's a learning curve if you are used to traditional pan or tube watercolors. These are organic mineral dyes, and as compared to pigments. So they're a little bit more staining, but not so much staining that, you can get, if you get them on your hands, you just have to be mindful that you may have a little staining on your fingers. It just kind of happens. What I found was really cool. I've had these watercolor palettes. Usually you put some tubed watercolors in here. And what I did was I cut the little sheets, little bits of the sheets, like these are my less used colors here, and then my more used colors right there. And what I did is I took double stick tape, This is the red line tape, which is like industrial automotive. It's really strong. And I just cut them up and filled them in the little wells. Now, I know I'm gonna go all over the place with this because there's so much to cover, but one thing I want to share, like this one, I was working on this last week and I did some paintings, like I was able to take, make these little paintings with these, just quite a bit of work. I was able to do quite a bit. And then I found out, well, I ran out of one color. It's not really run out. It hasn't run out, but it's getting a little, I think I might have tainted a little bit, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to change the color. I'm just going to take a new color and put it right here. I've cut it out. It's in there and it's in my palette. So this is all just double stick tape. You can replace it. And what's nice is you can close it up and you can take it wherever you want to go. So you've got all your colors all set up in this little palette and it doesn't stain. This palette, you can mix your colors in. You've got plenty of wells to do that. And I'll be using this today, but I wanted to share with you, this is what I love about, this is the YWP 800 palette. And it's not only can you put your tube watercolors if you want, but now you can put your Peerless watercolors. I think that's so cool. So I'll be using that today. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that out. The first thing, since I had this is 15 colors. I think, right? I'm pretty sure that's 15 colors. And what's great about it is they explain what the colors are. So you've got these beautiful a range of color to work with, and the sheets are large. So some of you may be familiar with these already, but I'll tell you right now, what you do is if you want to take sheets, little bits and pieces out, you can make your palette in this by just cutting little strips out. So this is a really nice all really good for mixing. It's pretty much your basic color, range that you can make every color you want, pretty much. I just love this little thing because I was talking to Phoebe and Dalton a minute ago. A duplicate set of these colors will be mailed out for 10 cents. Well, that's inflation, right? This is 1902. But these paints are still viable. And I know this is history, but I'm going to just do it. I'm going to put a little bit of color onto something here. I'll just put it on here. Look at that gorgeous. It's just totally reactivated and it's gorgeous. So the longevity, if you take care of these, keep them in a dry environment. I wouldn't go out in the rain with these, but you can keep these for a long time. I had my set. I gave my set away, the one I've had for many years, and it was just, it's just as good, and I gave it away. So, but now I've got more, so it's all good. So I'm going to just kind of talk about the first thing that I got was the Sidekick, which it's fairly new from them. And what I loved about it, there are more colors. You've got more, many more colors, and it's labeled easily so you can see the names, and that's nice. Now you can see I've kind of abused this, and I'll explain a little bit how you can maybe avoid this. But one thing I learned yesterday, and I didn't realize, now I'm excited to share with you. This is the Sidekick, by the way, all the colors swatched out, and this is concentrated. So when you're working with these colors, please, water is your best friend. These are gonna stretch so much more if you really use your water. Water is your pretty watercolor. So this is just straight off the pad of paper onto the paper. So it's a little concentrated. So just use lots of water. But I want to share this thing with you. This thing has these little perforations. I thought, why are these here? So when you tear these little perforations, now what you can do is make a little flip. You can pick colors that you want to use. Of course, I have to tear them all, but you can pick colors that you're going to use, and then you can just just turn the page. And if I want indigo, I want blue, well, maybe here I want brown, I want to have like a little palette of color, bubblegum pink, whatever my choices are, black. Now I can just do this, and it's not going to cause the transfer of color onto the back of the, like I did here. So this is really cool. So this is a really neat thing. I love that it's in almost like a checkbook size, and I can stick it in with my, my travel kit. And here's what I love. I've got the Niji, that's a brand new cold press, and we have a hot press, hot press is a little bit smoother than the cold press, but it's not that much smoother. And I really love these. They're a nice 5x7 size, so you can make perfect for greeting cards. And I can just take, actually, either way, however I'm going to travel, I'm going to just take a water brush, and I'm ready to go. So I love this portability. I don't have tube paints going around. I don't have to worry about my, it's much lighter in weight, much more portable. So I like that. I love this, that these are all going to go together. So I'm going to just show you. I'm going to just take some, kind of start. And then of course, please, if you have any questions, please tell, Phoebe will let me know and I'll be happy to share, whatever you need, whatever you need. So I'm here just to get you excited about all of these products. So what you need though, when you're working with the any of the Peerless colors and or the water brushes, you need water close by and you need a palette. So sometimes, I can just use I have this is a ceramic palette, but if you don't have that, you can just use even a paper plate that's plasticized, anything that you can use to mix your colors on. I have this old butcher tray. This is not as portable, but you can use even one of those things called page protector for mixing colors, whatever you have in your surroundings. Now, there's something else that I'm going to show you because it's so exciting. I'm going to do this thing first because it's sort of in front of me. Peerless now has clear or liquid. These are the liquid version of what's on these. So you've got, what I love about these is they have this little eyedropper, this little pipette, which is really cool because now that with the water brush is really exciting. So I'm going to take this brush is one of our large, I think this is a large one. Yeah. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix some custom colors. Now I might be making a mess, so maybe I should. I probably won't, but I'll try not to. I'm going to take out a water brush. Always comes with these little, and this is where I need my little, I usually use my teeth, but yeah, I'm going to do it. I don't recommend the teeth thing, but it makes it easier to come out. But this little thing needs to go back in. It's important. It's kind of like it's a little valve that kind of helps with the flow. So don't lose that. But I normally don't fill my water brushes by taking that off. When I do water, I don't do that. I usually just either put it under a sink and squish the brush and let the water go in. But for this, I'm going to have to take this little thing off, and I'm going to make a green color. I see a grass green, and it's really pretty. I'm going to just use this real quick, just as a way to just take it straight out of I want to just see what it looks like. And I'm going to use a brush. I've just got a brush here. I'm just see what that grass green looks like. Oh, it's pretty. It's pretty by itself. So I'm just going to leave that alone. I like it. And I think I'm going to add some water to this bottle after I've added the color. So I'm just going to take it. And I don't know if these need to be shaken. I think I'm going to just do a little shake just in case you may need. I know the metallics need to be shaken, but I don't know about these, but I'm just to make sure. So here I'm going to just drop in some color. I've got that was like a little half. Let's see, I'm going to do a lot of Christmas cards this year. So I'm going to do this, probably one more. So I'm not filling it up all the way. I'm just being careful because I don't want to lose the precious liquid. So I'm going to put it in here. And now I can do it straight from the brush, just use this straight, but I don't think it needs to be straight. It's too much color. So I want to thin it out. So I'm going to grab, I've got this little water-filled thing that happens to be from my kitchen. I had some liquid sugary stuff in it. Now it's just perfect. I can add now some water to my mixture. And I can decide how much of water I want to add. But this is like fun. I feel like I'm just a little chemist here, color chemist or something. So I've probably put about a third, maybe 1/3 of water compared to what was there. And I think I'm just going to leave it like that just to see. I'm going to put that back on, and now I'm ready to do my thing. I'm just going to gently turn the brush. And what I love about the water brush, just going to kind of like mix it together with the water. And what's lovely about the water brush, it's got this very squishy handle, and that is going to allow me to control the flow. Plus it has this foam insert here. There's something about it that makes it really nice. I've never used this brush, so it's going to take a little, usually like to get it wet on the end, just to kind of break up any starch that might be on the end. And I'm just going to check my little, the color that I've created here. Basically just a mix. So I'm just going to gently squeeze until the brush starts to fill with color. You can see it's filling with color. And now I'm just going to play and see what if I like that color. Now I can change the color. I'm just going to, so it's a very nice light green, but it's not, there we go. That's the color I'm looking for. Okay. So it's a beautiful green, and just like that, let's see how, and I added all that water, so it's just this gorgeous green. Now I've got another color. I'm going to just touch this with, just want to see. Actually, I think it was this color. I'm not sure, but I filled a brush with blue. I don't remember which color, but it's a blue. And now I can just use that as like a way to make a little bit of low lights, shading, but I'm going to show you a lettering trick that I just love doing. So how gorgeous that green is. Now, what I noticed about Peerless, that I kind of noticed, I don't see the color shifting or the lightening of color that you would see with your pigmented watercolors. So they're very intense, and they're not going to dry much lighter than they already are. So early this morning, I made this little slimline kind of card, and I kind of went a little heavy on the red with the Peerless, and so it was a little, and I didn't have the right red, but I heard that there's a poinsettia red, and I want that, because then I'll be able to make the really gorgeous red that I'm looking for. But so I kind of made do with what I had, and I mixed kind of a magenta with a red, and it kind of made what I was looking for. But it was too intense, so I used the Peerless gold. I used this gold, this liquid gold here. And I love it because it's very transparent and translucent. And so I was able to put this translucent little halo of, it's just pretty gold. Now what I want to do is I'm going to write something in here. I'm going to write something with my brush. Now this is a big wide brush, so it's going to be, it has to be large lettering. I was going to do it with this one, but that's blue. So I'm going to do the green. I'm going to just kind of practice my stroke a little bit, or make sure my brush is nicely loaded with the color. And I'm just going to write, something, I have to write something kind of big. So I'm just going to write joy, just like a brush lettering style. Try to put, there we go. And then a little bit press down when I put the, I'm pressing down, and then I'm going to lift up and kind of make a thin letter here. And then I'm just going to do press down and then press down. And then while it's still wet, I'm going to take some of this dragon scale stuff, and it's metallic. I'm just going to drop a little bit in, maybe I'm going to do it in my palette right there. And I'm just going to see, or because I'm trying to do the Christmas theme here, and I'm going to maybe just drop this onto it, but it's still kind of actually dried quickly, because this is not watercolor paper that I'm using. I'm just using a Bristol. So what I could do if I wanted to make this more kind of different, drop some color in, I'm going to get my brush primed and maybe drop color right at the top here. Let's just see what happens. This is the blue mixture that I made, and I'm just going to let those kind of merge and see what happens. Or I could leave little dots here and there. It'd be fun to see what happens when it dries. But this is what's so great about these colors. And then that's the Christmas card. I've already done it. It's good. Somebody will be getting that. But that's kind of how I use the lettering. I'll show you again on different, maybe this one's kind of messed up. I'll pass on that one. I'm going to go on to
Karen, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Jane asked, does it dry with the shine when thin too? And I think she means like if you thin the color, if the shine still shows through.
On the metallic? You mean on the metallic?
Of the
right?
metallic,
Yeah.
I believe. Maybe you
Yes.
can clarify, Jane, if I got any of that wrong.
Yeah. The metallics, yes, they're going to be a shimmer. It won't be as, I'm going to just show you what I mean. I'm going to put that there. You'll have a little more dispersion of the little mica flakes or whatever's making it shiny. But yes, it will show. Well, in this one, let's see, the one I did here earlier, this was really pretty, it's transparent, but there is the shine. But it's not glossy shiny. It's more of a really soft sheen. So but yeah, this should work. I'll use this. I'm actually going to use this little thing here, and I'm going to do a little thing. Now this is with mineral paper. I just love what mineral paper does. I'm going to just do a little lettering here. Like, let's see, I'll put Peerless. I'll just do the P as I drop down, and then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to drop down, and then I'm just going to kind of do a little lettering. Here we go. I probably am gonna run out of, I'll run out, there we go. Here, now I'm gonna take my green that I made while it's still wet. Ooh, and I love the way it spreads. It's got this neat, it's pushing the color out. How fun is that? So that's what I noticed about mineral paper. It kind of behaves almost like alcohol inks do on the mineral paper. So it does really cool things. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm seeing it on my end, really. It's just pushing the blue and really doing some neat things. Now, if I wanted to use that dragon scale, let me just put a little color and see how, when I thin it out, if I see the shine. And I do, I see
And
some, do
yeah,
you
and
see?
Dalton actually commented too. He mentioned he shared that the metallics dry with a nice shine, but the normal paints dry like a conventional watercolor paint. So maybe, and we'll come back to this too after it's dried probably, so we could check
Yeah.
it out.
Well, with, and really with a much less color shift than you would have with your normal, normal pigmented watercolors. So I'm just gonna, if you can see how pretty that looks as far, look at the halo that's kind of, we'll wait for it to dry, but what's gonna happen is this edge is gonna even be, it's gonna be really pronounced around the edge. So now you see it wet, and then I'll put it away for a little bit, and we'll look at it in a little bit. We'll see it dry. I'll show you how it looks when it's dry. So one thing, this one here that I did earlier yesterday, I used blue and then I dropped in some yellow color, and I'm trying to remember what color that is. I'm going to grab my watercolor pad. I know I'm going to go through a few sheets because I'm just going to show you how cool these are. This is a brand new pad that of our gorgeous watercolor papers. I'm so excited. These are 100% cotton. So, and they're not on a block. Oops, I just tore it. Oh, Karen. All right, let me fix. Here's how you do it right. So take off the cover sheet. That's a good idea. Now, these are padded only on one side or gummed on one side. They're not gummed all around. So, they might look like that, but you just need to get this part off here and then just gently peel it off. No, I just kind of went crazy there, but there it is. So now you just have the gum on the one side. So that's how you get those. And what I did with this is I took up some masking tape and I masked this off, and then I did a little like a little tree thing using the Peerless watercolors, and then I did a little kind of ground. And then after it dried, I peeled off the masking tape and wrote these letters. So that's what that's about. So I'm going to show you. I'm just going to move this off. I'm going to take that. And what was I going to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to take this. I'm going to write, just use the color that I have in there, which is the green. And I'm just going to do, I got to think of a word here. This is easy to, I'll just put Niji. Ooh, it would be fun to do a Niji. Like, here we go. Just something, just want you to see. And this is watercolor paper. It's going to, oops, it's going to not absorb the color as quickly as the, it's going to be different. Let me just say different than the mineral paper. So I've got lots of color here, and I'm going to just kind of move it around, keep it wet. I don't want to, I really want to keep that area wet. So then I'm going to drop in just for fun. I've got some gold, marigold yellow. I'm just going to drop it in. Now you could do that with, with the brush as well. If you want to just take some of the sheets, if you don't have the color, you could just do the sheets and then just pick the color up out from the sheet and do your thing. Like this one here, I could do that with this. I'll just grab some yellow from this original sheet and I'll just put it in. So this is a way that you can do some fun little brush lettering if you happen to have, if you're into lettering, and you can have lots of fun with that. Here I just realized, oh, that's sticking out. So I'm going to just fix that. Try to make it look like I meant to do that, right? So what's nice about this size paper, you can see I'm able to move. I mean, kind of like not normal. This is not a normal thing with watercolor. Normally, that would be showing. Because there's not a lot of granulation, or actually zero granulation with this, you get really smooth washes. So I'm going to show you. I've got a flat water brush. I've not used the flat water brush yet for this, but I'm going to try it because why not? So I filled this flat water brush, which is here. It's never been used, but the water is in it. So I'm going to just take my watercolor paper and I'm just going to put it here. And I'm going to take what's in here because I don't like to waste paint. I always like to keep, if I can do this, I'd like to keep my cool colors in one palette and my warm colors in another, just so that, and I have basically cool, basically on the color wheel. If you take a color wheel, I just don't want things on the opposite side of each other. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water. I think I'm going to spray this. So now I'm just going to experiment and putting a little water on here, just a little distilled water on my paper. And if you have paper that tends to want to buckle, you can always do both sides of the paper, just so you know. That will actually help to flatten it. It keeps it flat, so you can do that. So now I'm just going to take this is like a pretty intense blue, and I'm going to just go across and I'm going to make a wash. Now, this is something I've never done before. Now, when you're doing a wash, it's kind of this is a very small wash brush. So, but what I have now, I'm noticing as I'm seeing it, I'm getting very, no granulation, but I'm getting some interesting variation. And now it's kind of not soaking in, but it is different. Now, of course, I'm using a very small brush. If I want to get a nice flat wash, I would use a hockey brush or something like that. But one thing I notice about the Peerless watercolors, you can layer them and get deeper and deeper levels of color. But I tend to, like I say, kind of go a little heavy because I'm sort of used to working with the tubes and the pans. So I just kind of wanted to show you that there's not really a lot of granulation. And as I'm doing this very carefully, I don't want to scrub into my paper, but I can get a nice, pretty even wash. But I'll let that dry and we'll just see what happens when it dries. So there's that. Now I'm going to grab this one I did when when you guys were talking. This one's dry now. And I love the way the concentration, it did not lighten much at all. If you can see that, I just sort of very loosely wrote this word and threw a couple colors in. And I've got a really gorgeous thing. This would be a fun card, I think. And just cut that up and it's good to go. Love that. So I'm going to save that, put that aside. And I'm going to show you just some little different things that I would do if I'm using the water brush and just the Peerless colors by themselves. With just make sure I got a water brush that's filled with water. And I'm going to take my little palette, now this little piece that fell out, the reason it fell out, because if I don't use the red line tape, I had originally put that with normal double stick tape, and double stick tape just doesn't work. It's just not sticky enough. So I'm sure because of the pigments that are in there, there's so much color in there. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to put that little red line tape right at the base. Then I won't have to do it again because it's going to stick. But the regular double stick tape from the store, like Scotch, does not hold it. So I'm just going to put that back in and then leave it in, and it won't go anywhere. So now it's going to do its thing. Open it up. I'm going to just using this little palette is really handy to just do your thing in. Now I've got also regular brushes with me. I've got all my other, watercolor accoutrements. I always like to have a paper towel close by. Let me grab one of those. And this is how you clean your water brush when you need to. And I'll show you. You just use a sponge or a paper towel, and you squeeze the clear water through, and that cleans it. And since this brush has never been used, it had a little starch on it. So I'm just breaking up the starch in it. Okay, these brushes, I think I've had at least for 25 years, I've had these brushes, and they don't go bad. I don't have a problem with mold or anything, but I know some people mentioned that in the past. So if you're going to store your brushes for a really long period without using them, just take them, empty them, and let them dry. That's a good way to care and feed them. So I'm just going to grab some green, and I don't want to overdo it because this is a very concentrated color. And I'm going to just see what colors I can get. So I'm just going to take.
Also, as you're doing that, Neela was wondering how the liquid color compares to the paper swatches of color, which I believe she means like in the sidekick. How the liquid color compares to the paper swatches of color as far as making a wash and varying the intensity of color.
Yes. Okay. Well, this is something that maybe Dalton can write in the question. I'm gonna actually just give you an actual demo so you can see what happens. So I'm gonna just take a color. Let's see if I can find one in here, and then I'll start doing little goodies. But let's check. I'm gonna grab. Oh, maybe, you know, if he has an answer in there, I'm gonna look here for a color I'm gonna duplicate here. So I gotta find it. I have so many colors. I'm just so excited. I have to find. They come in a beautiful these beautiful bottles. Ooh, almost dropped everything. And I'm going to try to. Oh, there it is. I found it. So here's Wisteria Violet, and here's Wisteria Violet. Oh, Wisteria Violet and Wisteria Violet. That's funny. Okay, this is the violet here, and I'm just going to grab a little bit. But what I'm going to do, instead of just painting directly out of it, I'm not going to drive myself crazy. I'm going to take a little strip right off the end. And what I'm going to do is I could put it in my palette, like I think Dalton mentioned, is you can actually put it in a palette, and you can actually just I'm just going to stick this right in here like this, like that. I'm going to put a little bit of water in it. And I'm just going to use my water brush, squeeze some water out. If I can find one with the water in it, there it is. And I'm just going to squeeze a little water. And I'm going to just let it do its thing. Look how concentrated that is already. You can see. So I've got this violet going on. Woo! Getting excited here. There we go. So there, I've got it lots of violet right there just by doing a little strip. So that was about that size. Okay. And then I'm going to take maybe 2 drops of this, maybe. I'm going to just see. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to just grab my little pipette thing and drop 2 drops. Let's just see what happens with 2 drops compared to that little strip. Just for fun. I'm not going to use my water brush. I'm just going to use a regular brush so that I can not have water interfere with this. So I'm just going to grab that. Ooh. I'm going to just put it on some mineral paper so I have it.
And as you do, I'm gonna read out what Dalton commented. He
Oh,
said
yeah.
that you're both very saturated, so water will be your friend.
Yes.
And as far as making a wash, he recommends mixing them in a palette before washing.
Yeah.
Because the liquids are already activated, they will have a slightly different color right out of the bottle.
Yeah.
Adding water to get your perfect color is the way to go.
Thank you. So, thank you, Dalton. Now, this is straight out of the bottle. This Wisteria Violet was straight out of the bottle, and I did have water. This was mixed with water, the little sheet. So, and I don't think I've even activated the whole sheet. But look at this gorgeous color. And yeah, I think if, you know, as far as portability, I think that of course the sheets are like the bomb. You know, you've got to take you can take those anywhere. It's probably a little more clumsy to carry around bottles like this, but you know, I found this really cool little box. So for a studio work, you know, if you're in your studio or your little craft room or whatever you've got, this is nice. You can just put them in here, and I love the instant activation of the color. I think it's fabulous. And you can like have your little color lab right there, right? Mixing lab. You can actually, you can create this, I'm noticing too, maybe this one's got a little shifting going on, which is really gorgeous. I don't know if maybe Dalton can explain, but the liquid wisteria, I'm seeing a halo of a different color. And that actually is very intriguing to me. I like that. And I'd like to know, maybe this one is, it has a slight halo of like a separation of maybe the colors when you mix them on the mineral paper. It's kind of separating, and maybe if you could explain it, I think it's fabulous. So I don't know if there's an explanation for it, but I love it. See how it's
While
drying?
we're on the topic of mineral paper, Cindy, and I'm sure maybe there's other people out there, commented that she's never heard of mineral paper. So maybe real quick, we could share what mineral paper is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, please.
So mineral paper is this is actually just a sheet that I've cut up, but it's made of 80% calcium carbonate and about 20, well, the rest of it is a recycled, like plastic bottle, PET material. It's recycled bottles or recycled plastic. And that's basically the glue that holds it together. Otherwise, it just crumble. Calcium carbonate is one of the most common elements, very easy to find, and what it's great about this was actually many years ago, this kind of paper or this surface, since it's really technically not paper, right? Because it's not made out of wood pulp, but it was really good for packaging. It's very durable. It doesn't wrinkle. So even the thinnest mineral paper is going to not buckle. And it has if you are used to, or you've heard of UPO, which is plastic, it's a polypropylene, I believe. It's plastic, and it's a beautiful surface for alcohol inks, but for watercolor, it's not so good because there's no absorbency at all. So this is like a nice fusion between the UPO and kind of, it's like painting on eggshells. If you're painting on an eggshell, but much smoother, of course. There's no tooth. There's a very little, it's a slight tooth. So it's not glossy. You can see there's no gloss to it. It's totally matte white. In fact, I take photos on these. I use a big piece and it has no reflection at all. It's gorgeous with watercolor. So I'm going to just show you what I mean. I'm going to grab this little brush here. I'm just going to take this one because I've got this wisteria already in here. And I'm just going to take this. Oh, I love that liquid. And you'll see when you're working with it. I'm just going to do like a little flower thing, I think, just to see how it looks. It's not going to, you can do large areas. I'm just going to do like little, I don't know, what am I doing here? Let's see. It's actually a surface that doesn't wrinkle, but it takes the watercolor. If I tried to do this on UPO, it would just be bubbling over. It would just be a bubbly mess. Just wouldn't, you won't see, you can see how it lays down, and it's really beautiful. And then of course, when it dries, it's even gonna be more beautiful. Wait till you see that swatch that I was showing you. Oh my God, it's shifting. I'm gonna have to show you this. It's lovely. Look at that. I don't know why, but look at it's doing it. So on the mineral paper, look what happened to Wisteria Violet. I think it's so cool because I'm sure it's a combination of pigments or dyes, minerals, maybe whatever they made. And I'm sure Dalton doesn't, you can't give away your recipes, I understand. But if whatever you're using, it's separating. And that is like a new discovery that I'm so thrilled about. I can't wait for that to dry and see what happens. This is fun. I mean, I've never seen that before. I just think it's gorgeous. So I'm just doing a little flower kind of thing. I'm going to let that just dry, and then I'm going to take maybe some of this. I'm going to do a little darker right in the center and just kind of bring that together. And then I'm going to take
another question from
Yeah.
someone named Kim, who was asking what happens with the little piece of paint paper that you cut off and put the water on, asking if it completely dissolves. So I don't think it dissolves, but maybe we could come back
Yeah.
after it's been in the water a little longer just to see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's just like paper. You just have to get, to dry out, and you can dispose of it. I don't think there's that pretty color. I don't think that I don't know what it's made out of, but I don't know if it dissolves. I've never seen it dissolve, but we'll leave it in there and see what happens. And I love this color kind of thing happening here. This like that some of that blue that I had put in my palette. I'm just going to let that sit. Now you'll notice it's very puddly right now because it's not absorbing into the paper. There's a lot of liquid here. It's going to take a while for that to dry, but I am seeing that shifting happening on the violet, and I'm really loving it. So I'm going to put a little of the violet mixed with the with that green to give it a more natural color. That's what I love about these colors. They're transparent. You can't really make mud. You can make anything. Ooh, look at that. You just can't make mud. Mud is not, you can make gorgeous browns, but you're not going to make a mud. You're just not. You can try, but you can't. That's so pretty. That's not what I intended, but I want to do this. It is what it is. Now I'm going to do a mixing. I'm going to use that same green. I'm just going to do that just straight out of there. And I know that green's a little bright, but I'm going to just tone it down a little bit with my violet and see if I can just do that off the, see how it happens. Now, some colors spread and some don't. You see this green just want to push that violet right out of the way, which I think is very interesting. So that's what's fun about watercolor. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes. You'll just get all kinds of surprising, fun things. Now I'm going to grab also some of this yellow. I'm going to put it, I think I've exhausted that yellow. So I might have to grab a little here. There we go. So now I've made more of a line, like a yellow green. I just added a little bit of the yellow to my mixture of green, and I can even add a little bit here. And I know I'm probably doing terrible things. I'm putting green in with the yellow, but that's the way I paint. So it is what it is. So I'm just putting some yellow inside there to just lighten up or to tone that green to make it a little less hunter green, more of a yellow that I'm looking for. Now, of course, my little stems, I'm just going to start making little green things just so that it doesn't look so, there we go. Make me more flowers. But I love the mineral paper. I'm going to show you as it's drying. Look what's going on. So Wisteria Violet dries to this gorgeous soft violet. Now it's going to probably all shift to that. So that's an interesting thing. And I don't know if that does that on watercolor paper. So I'm going to try it real quick on my paper. I don't think it does, but I'm going to do it.
And
look,
to verbally get back to Kim's question real quick,
Yeah,
Dalton
sure.
shared that no, the paper won't dissolve fully. It is pretty resilient, but you wouldn't want to let it sit in water for days. Afterwards, it's ready to be thrown in the recycling bin. So there
Got
you go.
it. So it can be recycled. Thank you. I figured it would. So this I'm going to let dry. This is the Wisteria Violet. And I'm going to let it dry. See how what happens here. This is so cool. I love that shifting thing. Well, they say shift happens, right? So I love the way these are surprises that I just really think are amazing. So this, I'll let this layer dry, and it is shifting. You can see on there that color is, as it's drying, I'm getting a beautiful kind of a soft, almost a very, very subtle, more subtle violet than that. Interesting. So what I'm going to do now is to get, just to let you see the colors as they on the mineral paper. I just want to show you, this is the one that I did a little while ago. So you see the shine. If I'm just turning it a little bit, there's that beautiful color. Then this is called Dragon Scale. That's the name of it. And as this is completely dry, so you can see it's shifted in color, but I love the little kind of like a halo of dark around the edge. And then the shifting of the metal, just the soft shimmer. That's gorgeous. I can't wait to make like dragonflies and little bugs and little goodies that way. But I'm going to let this dry, and I'm seeing some really cool things. And what I'm not seeing now is granulation. I think I got some of the paper in there. You can see that. That's not granulation. That's either the paper or something's in there. And I could probably rub that off, but let me just kind of shift this. It's got a lot of color in there. I'm just going to kind of do this. This would be fun to do some liquid, like some really abstracty fun things there. I wanted to fill that. I wanted to get that green so that it was out of the way. But let's let that dry. We'll just set that aside. I'm going to do on my mineral paper, because I know it's very amazing. I want to just see what happens to the colors. And you can, by the way, use both sides of the mineral paper. There's no right or wrong side. You can just use them. So I'm going to grab a little, I'm going to grab the sidekick if I can find it. There it is. Things get really crazy on this table. So I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to go just a little tiny. I'm going to try to be really careful, not have too much. I'm going to just use my water brush filled with water, my little small one. And this one hasn't been used yet, so, or if it has, it hasn't been used very long. I'm going to make sure that the colors are clear. So what I always should do is you always need to make sure, I do have some green stuck in there. So just push it and get the water out until you don't see any color. And you can see how concentrated these watercolors are, because there's a lot of green in there still, but I think it's clear enough anyway. Nope, still got green. I'll just keep doing it, keep working it. That's how you clean them. So now I'm going to take my little bit of this alizarin red, and instead of going into the palette, I'm just going to go straight out of here, and I'm going to show you just like there it is, gorgeous. Now I'm going to do kind of a thin it out. I'm squeezing the brush, and I'm just going to go to almost water just to show you the value, the levels of color that you can get. So I'm going to do the same thing with this blood red, it's called. I'm going to just take a little swatch, and I'm going to just take it, and I'm going to do this. It's a very nice red. It's very like a blood red. I'm just going to squeeze my brush just enough to kind of give it a wash out. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the Scarlet Vermilion. And I'm just going to take a little corner because I don't want to waste it. Just want to grab a little bit and then see what happens when I get that. Ooh, that's a gorgeous color. Look at that. And I want to see what happens because these colors on the mineral paper, what I saw with that one color is phenomenal. And we'll see if it does anything like that. But there, you can see it there, the shifting. I love it. And this was Scarlet Vermilion. Then we have Nectar. I don't even know what that is. It looks pretty though. Oh, it's almost like a, ooh, pretty. So the sheets, you can't tell what they are until you do your thing. You got to swatch them, really, to know what you've got. I didn't even know that I had that. So Scarlet Lake, I'm just going to take a little one here and just see what that looks like. It's got a very different, it's very pretty. It's very gorgeous array of reds. You can see how beautiful those are. So normally, I mean, that's pretty dry. I live in Arizona. Let me tell you, it's dry here. So I'm just going to flip these over and I'm just going to let them dry on their own. They should be okay. And then I'm just going to do a little swatch here on the chrome orange. Ooh, yeah. Oops, I didn't do enough there. I'm going to pick up more. And I've got this gorgeous, comes to a really nice yellow, very pale yellow. Really nice. And then chrome yellow. Let's see what you look like. Oh, wow. So there's 45 colors on that. That's intense. See how intense that, it just doesn't even go out to white. It's just really intense. So you can use that to mix a lot of different yellows and mix with other colors. And I'm looking at this color, the alizarin, and it's drying this gorgeous color. So there's some shifting in color, which is fabulous. Really, really nice. And I'm going to take this red golden hair. I'm going to take a little swatch right up at the corner. And I'm just going to do a little, and that's a gorgeous orange as well. And this would be good to do this when you get a set and just write down what colors you have and on whatever you're working with. If it is mineral paper or whatever it is. Oops, you know what? I just realized. Uh-oh. Oh, well. No, that's good. I'm talking to myself. All right, bright peach is the next color. Ooh, that's gorgeous. And look how gorgeous. It does come out to a peach color when you have that lots of water. So water is your friend. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to take my little flip, I'm going to flip it. I'm just going to take, I like this set, so much fun. Especially if you're a color nerd or if you love just color for color's sake and you're not really worried about, oh, I want to make a painting that's going to hang on a wall. You know, this is like color, this is color joy, actually. I think I just have so much fun with color, just making swatches. Swatching is just a fun activity on its own. Well, letting that sit, but it is drying differently than I thought, and it's really beautiful. It's different than on the watercolor paper. So I'm going to find that. Where's the watercolor paper? And that wisteria on the watercolor. Let's see. Where did you go? Oh, there it is. So it does, when it dries on the watercolor paper, it kind of dries to that blue. It's kind of it basically dries like it's supposed to, but this dries differently. So there it is. It's dry. I think there's still a little bit to dry here. But it's amazing. I don't know what the combination of pigments are in that, but that's pretty cool. So I don't think I want to bore you with the 45, but at least now you can see, at least with this set, how beautiful these colors are and how they go on mineral paper. It's crazy. So this, like here, just going to take this and squeeze it all out. I may need another another one of these. I'm going to take this and put it aside. Find a place that's not wet. There we go. I'm just going to use this for now because it's just kind of the palette that I've been working with. And I love this thing. And I did, since I don't know what these colors are by looking at them, except I can tell that's yellow. I can't tell what these are. And I should have swatched them ahead of time, but I didn't. And that's more about the surprise. So I'm going to get a surprise. So I'm going to put, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to find out. It's like a neutral, looks like it's the neutral tint or the Payne's gray. And I love that because I can tone down my colors with that. I'm going to mix that with a little of this green. I think this is the dark green, but we'll see. The nice dark green. So you basically should mix your colors, but I love to mix colors on the paper, because and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just going to make this green mixture. I'm just going to grab a bunch of it just to make sure I have plenty to work with. This is a dark green, and I think that's great. That's a gorgeous green without having to alter it at all. It's really pretty. And then I'll grab some blue in a sec, but I'm going to show you when you're doing this, and I should mix the blue now, because if you need to do work while it's wet. So I'm going to take some of this blue and I'm going to put it in this tray. Oh, this is that butterfly. Believe it's called butterfly wing blue, and that's a beautiful, like almost like it's crazy. It's like a turquoise, but crazy. It's almost like a glowing blue. I've never seen anything like it. I really love it. I'm going to take those two and I'm going to mix my colors on the paper. Which what I mean by that is I'm going to make these little leaves. But I'm going to start with the green, and I'm just going to do like some little small leaves like this. Just little leaves, and then I'm going to drop the blue and just kind of drop it in, and I'm going to see how they dry. And I'm just going to kind of go back and forth with these colors here. And I'm not adding a lot of water because I've already done some water, but I can make a thinner wash if I wanted to. I'm just going to drop these in, this blue, and just kind of make a little bit here. But you'll see, I think I showed you already that what these look like when they're dry. It's almost like they look kind of, remind me of alcohol inks. It's just crazy the way they dry. So that one, my leaf is a little big, so I'm gonna have to make it bigger on all, I guess not all leaves are the same size. So I'll just kind of make this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put some blue in there. And I'll just drop some of that right here and there while it's still wet. With the mineral paper, you have a little more time than watercolor paper because you've got, it's a different surface. So it floats a little bit on the paper, but it also has some absorbency. So, you can't, if you were to do something on this, you won't be able to get it all off. It's going to leave a mark on whatever the surface that you're on. So I'll just leave it at that and wait for it to dry, and I can show you. But then I want to show you also on watercolor paper, on these papers. I just love this stuff. And when it dries, you've got this nice little halo of color. And another thing that I like doing with this, if you're not a painter and you're like kind of intimidated by drawing and stuff like that, you don't need to do that. You can actually you don't need to draw. I actually made these stamps out of erasers. I love this. It says for big mistakes. I love that. I think I got this at the dollar store. And it's kind of wonky, and it's old, so who knows. But I like to take this, and I think this is just a beautiful thing to do. Like just a simple card. I'm going to just do a little stamp. You can do this with any stamp if you're a stamper, or you could, with things that are black and white, you can tint anything. So I'm just going to make sure that has enough color on it. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It's no big deal. I'm just going to put that smack dab in the middle. And I'm going to just press down, and I'm hoping I get a good impression. Decent, a little wonky, but that's okay. I'm just going to let that dry. Now, there is a black. They have a black, and I'm going to find this. I know it's here. Spotting black, opaque. Now, that is something I thought was kind of cool, because I'm going to just see. It's probably not waterproof, but I'm going to put some of it in, like waterproof when dry. I'm just going to put a little black and see what happens. And I'm just going to see that little place where I kind of goofed. Oh, this is my brush filled with stuff. Here we go. I'm just going to put a little of this black, and I'm just going to kind of fill in my little boo-boo. There we go. Now you don't see it. the little cut. Now this is probably going to change the way that it's going to look, but I'm going to you can do that. You could actually fill little cracks, kind of like spackle for your stamped images, which I think is really neat. Now I'm going to let that dry completely, and now I will do some fun things with the watercolors. And then just by itself, it's going to be a really nice image, and I could use it as a focal point by cutting out, or I can put it on a card and put a greeting on it, whatever I want. So I'm going to take my brush, and it's already got the blue in it. I as well use it up. And I'm going to try not to go where this is right now, but I'm just going to take it a little bit. And just as a coloring, look how beautiful that colors. Just like stunning. I love it. I'm just going to go around. This is a what is this stuff? The what was I thinking? The ink I'm using is waterproof. That's what I was trying to tell you. It's an archival. It's an ink that is waterproof when dry. So you can do lots of things with this stuff. I'm going to grab some yellow. Oh, maybe this while I'm at it. I'm just going to drop some color in because I'm going to let the colors just sort of mix together. And I have no idea what I'm pulling out here. Oh, there's that violet again. I'm going to just drop that in. It's pretty dark though, because I'm not mixing. I'm not doing my thing on the palette. I'm doing it straight from the sheet. Ooh, there's that color. Surprise! And I think this is just gorgeous. You can also make new colors. Like I just have that yellow and I'm putting that blue over and I'm making a green, which is because of the transparency. You really can't make a mud. You can make only gorgeous colors. That is just so gorgeous just by like that. Now I can add some of this great dragon scale. Why not? Since it's out. Why not? Let's just see. I'll put a little touch of that on there too. And just, I'm playing. This is what we're doing. I'm going to put a little bit of that just to see what happens when it dries. And I'm going to let that just marinate and stew and see how that looks. And how's everybody doing? Does anybody have questions? Because we're at the hour almost, and we're going to have a giveaway and stuff. We want to make sure everybody has had their questions answered. And let's just look at some things while I'm just going to show you here. So this is still in the process of drying. So you can see it dries to a much subtler, more subtle violet than what comes out of either the sheet or the bottle on the mineral paper. It's wild. Now on the Niji watercolor paper, it's a little more of a mix. It's it still dries more subtle than the color that comes out, but it's different. So interesting. This one has, you can see the little halo. Isn't that gorgeous? Just that dark edge that it's done on the mineral paper. To me, that's just intensely wonderful. And I'm just going to show you, so you can see that halo around. So when you use more water, you get that nice little halo of dark around the edge, which I think is going to be great for just abstract or any kind of fun. You can use this in your journals. You can do all kinds of things. Let's see, look at this. Look at the one that we did earlier. This one, it's got some of that dragon scale in it. And now I could probably take this and maybe do a little shadowing with this. Just like a little, I can take my blue, this is already blue, and I can just do like a little shadow down here maybe. I mean, really, I can probably overwork stuff too. I tend to do that. Just a little halo of blue kind of going around like this. But having these water brushes with these colors, you've got you've got really lots of fun things. There we go. I'm not sure I like that one, but that's okay. I don't have to love it. This one, I love this one. This was just so spontaneous and it really came out nice. I can use that like again, but the intensity of the color, and that was straight out of this water brush that had a mixture of the blue with water.
We have a few questions. So one, Jennifer was asking, did you say that once it's dry, it won't run? So I can do outlines and fill in without running? And I think she might be referring to the leaf, but possibly the watercolors.
Okay, so I think that these, okay, I'll show you, this is dry. And let me just show you, oops, let me use water. I believe they will move because they're not, there's going to be movement. So they're not waterproof since it is a watercolor. I'm just going to go take this and I'm just going to try to smear it. Yes, so on the mineral paper, see how it does dissolve, which is normal. It's supposed to, because it is a watercolor. But it does leave some of the image underneath. I'll just show you that. So if you want to do some painting over it, you're going to have some shifting. So I'm just going to do, just to show you here, I'm actually might be more interesting actually. This one, and with the mineral paper, I'm not getting any wrinkling. So I'm just going to see what happens when I reconstitute it all the way. And I'm going to have a little shadow of what's underneath. But it did move. You can see I did not add color to this. I just moved it around. So if you want to, I would suggest if you're going to be doing like stamping, of course, the stamped image will not move, but the color underneath will. With a watercolor paper, it's going to not move much. So I'm going to show you. I'll do this. So
And
you
I
saw
think,
what
can you
happened.
let everybody know what you used for the stamp?
Which one? The one I just
For
showed
the
you?
black ink? I think that might be what.
That's it. There you go. Ranger Archival, acid-free, permanent, and waterproof. I think another brand, some other brands make it. Memories, I think this is a brand. This is the soft gray. So I like the soft gray. If you don't want a really black image, like if you're using, this is also pigmented. So this is by Superior. But you would look at it and you would read, if you're gonna, if you want to work with watercolors and you don't want it to, this color to move, get one that says waterproof. So you can actually, let me just show you this one here. Oh, I think this one would look really neat with this. I'm just going to put this little, I'm going to use the soft gray. And that's just going to give me the impression of the, and I have no idea where I'm going to put it. I'm just going to stick it right there. But that's a soft gray. And I want, when that dries, it's not going to move. And it's a little more subtle than the black, that you can use either black or soft gray. And then you can use your watercolors, and that's not going to move at all. It's not going to lift. It's not going to taint the color. So if I want to use the same blue that I used on, this is the blue from my, this is the blue that's in this brush. So gotta give it a little time to dry. I'm probably not giving it that much time to dry. But now I can just kind of add my blue, and you can see underneath that gray is not moving. So that's what you can do with the black, with the any of the archival permanent inks, permanent stamp pad inks. And then I'll just throw a little bit of green, since it's right there, and just kind of play with it like this. I could have used a water brush, but you see what I mean there. I've got this, that looks like a smile. I don't know why. It kind of gives me that feeling. And then you can go over it after it's dry. You can go over it with acrylic pens, and it won't move around like this one here. When it's dry, I would probably take maybe some white, some of the, either a Posca pen, which I showed before, or Molotow, this one here, or this little pen, a white pen, and maybe you use some highlights or little marks. But I'm gonna have to wait for that to dry completely. So I'm just gonna put these out, and if you have any more questions, let me know, because I'm here to answer. Now, I'll just do a little quick thing. If I want to make some lines here, I can make with my brush, just go with little, I'm making, using my Peerless watercolor, I'm making some detail on my leaves here. And that's going to be pretty when it dries. I think I'll just show it close up. It looks like it just going to be the right amount of line, and it actually halos, and it creates this really interesting line. Wow. So if I do more like this, I'm going to get a really interesting look here. So I think the magic that I've discovered today that I didn't know is mineral paper is going to be my favorite substrate for these watercolors from now on. I mean, I love it for other things, but wow, the mineral paper just really makes it shine even more than I expected. So that's what I'm hoping, that you're inspired by these colors and the tools that I've been showing you today, and I'm looking forward to find out who's going to win the giveaway.
Yes, well, we're going to be doing the giveaway after the
Yeah.
live ends, because there are so many entries. And actually, I think there was a period of entries that I have to go back after the live ends to catch them,
Yeah.
just the way that Facebook Live works. But we
Right.
did get another question from Lori.
Sure.
She was asking if you can seal the paint on mineral paper.
If you can seal it, is that the word, was sealing?
Yes, if you can
Okay,
seal the
well,
paint.
you could use a workable fixative. You can spray a workable fixative. I wouldn't brush anything over it, but a workable fixative spray would be fine. Krylon makes one. I think I've done it before. Actually, I've put chalk pastels on this paper, and I've put a spray fixative, workable spray fixative, and then I can put acrylics over it. So this mineral paper is compatible with water soluble anything. Like It's great with acrylics, great with watercolors. Now I know it's great with the Peerless colors. I think it's amazing. Um, anything like pencil, you can use watercolor pencils, graphite. It's beautiful on with markers. Oh my gosh. If you wanted to create some really deep, nice detail, you can actually use like a Pigma or any pigmented marker, which Yasutomo is going to be coming out with. I'm so excited. I'm going to show you, I'm going to tease you. Detail Master pigment liners, really good. So you can actually, you'll see the nice fine lines. I'm just going to show you how beautiful it writes. But so I'm just going to put, just going to write the word thank you. But it's very, very, thank you for joining us. That's what I was saying. But it's got a very nice fine, you can, it's like a very fine line that very dark and dense. And it's great for doing this. And once that dries, it's not going to move. It just needs to dry first. The best is I can just look how pretty the little blue area looks. Just a little detail, just having fun with this now. I'm just kind of playing at this point. But whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I think I've pretty much, unless you have more questions, let me know. I'm
I
here.
think I believe I got all the questions, but I will be going back through the comments after the live ends in case I missed anything. And then the recording will be available for everyone to review, watch again, play over on our Facebook channel as well as our YouTube channel. But usually it goes up on YouTube the next week, so that'll probably be up on Monday. And we just got a lot of love for this demonstration. Everybody really loves seeing what you do, Karen. We all made some pretty cool discoveries, and everyone's really excited about Peerless watercolors. So just a
So am
reminder,
I.
yeah, I
Look at
know
these.
this is so
Look.
fun.
Yeah. And
And just a
especially with our
reminder,
products.
oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yes, they go together very well.
Yep.
And we do have the discount code Karen Elaine Creative that you can use on Peerless Watercolors orders for 15% off. So I believe that's in the comments, but I'll also put it in the event description and just make it easy for you. Dalton has shared that's an evergreen code. So thank you to Peerless Watercolors. That was super generous.
Thank you. Yes.
I think a lot of people are excited to get their hands on these items that they could, do some watercolor creation themselves. And I think I'm just checking if there's any final questions, but I think everybody's ready to head into the weekend and be creative. So
Exactly. Well, I'll be here for another 2 hours.